Okay, let me get straight into something kind of non-cybery because I want to get this out of the way. I've got a thing on my chest, which is a piece of new tech. For those of you that are listening to the podcast rather than watching the video, the thing on my chest is actually the same as this spare one that I have right here. And this is an Instamic. And Instamic is basically this little sort of wearable lapel style microphone. So if I take the clip off, for those of you looking at this, I was about to tell you what size of Aussie currency this was about the size of. Let's try and skip that. This is probably about 3 centimeters long by a couple of centimeters high. It's a very small little unit. In fact, I'm going to sort of read some of the specs here, and it probably tells us exactly how large it is, because I know it had it in grams. Where were we? Oh, here we go. 3.8 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters by 1.3 centimeters and 18 grams. Now, these little units are effectively wireless microphones. They're not Bluetooth insofar as they're not sort of recording straight to the phone. They actually record locally onto the device. Double checking the specs here, they have 8 gigabytes of internal memory. They can actually record in stereo as well. So this is the Pro unit. It has a 4 mic array with 2 lateral mics. And what I'm going to do is I normally record into this big microphone. For those of you watching the video, I just lifted it up and you could see what it is, and then I put it just out of frame. That's the mic I normally use for like all my Pluralsight videos and stuff. I'm now going to switch into the Instamic, and this is where I go into Adobe Premiere and change soundtracks. So now you're hearing me on the Instamic, which is the one that's on my chest. And the idea is that when I'm away from home and I'm doing these things remotely, this is going to be better than the sort of lapel mic. I used to have a Rode lapel mic that would run a cable over to the iPhone. And particularly when I do them with Scott Helm, by having 2 of these guys, he can wear one, I can wear the other. They both record locally. I just pick up the WAV files directly from the unit by micro USBing into the PC. And now I can get these 2 different tracks, and they should be nice quality. Hopefully, because I haven't really listened to it yet, but apparently they're very, very good, and that would be cool. So I'm going to now switch from the lapel, or the Instamic little unit, back to my normal microphone. Now that's done in Adobe Premiere Magic. So we're back to there, and incidentally, I am assuming this is actually recording, so I haven't played with this a lot. If it hasn't, then I'm going to, I don't know, like explain it in the description or something. So these are really, really super cool. They cost 189 USD each, which seems okay for what it is. The complaint I have so far is that there's basically 2 ways of operating it. Either there's a little button on here, and I'm going to put it a little bit closer to the camera for those of you who can see it. In fact, you'll see there's a little button, and there's a little 3 LED array. And you can effectively control it locally by pressing the button. There's sort of, press once, power on, press 2, then it will go through and actually start recording, etc. Or you can do it remotely via the mobile app, which obviously I can't do because I'm speaking into my phone in terms of the video at the moment. The mobile app can tell you there's a firmware upgrade pending. Now, in my naivety, I was thinking, well, this is great. I will then just push the button in the mobile app which says upgrade the firmware. Now, turns out, not that easy. To upgrade the firmware, you have to go online, provide your email address, provide the serial number of the unit, and then it emails you a link. But if we go back a bit, things just sort of start going wrong at this providing your personal data bit. And the bit that immediately goes wrong is you go from like https://instamic.com through to http, some random IP address I've got no idea of. And then you're filling in your personal data, and of course, as soon as you click in a form in Chrome that's collecting personal data, then you get the big red not secure across the top. Not a good look. It sends you an email to an HTTP address to then download the firmware, also not a good look. Then it downloads the firmware and it's not signed. And then Windows Smart Screen loses its mind and says you shouldn't run this unless you click through the warnings. So that was sort of a real letdown for something that's otherwise a pretty slick device. So I actually emailed them just before I recorded this and screen capped it and went, guys, come on, like this. Well, actually, first of all, why can't I just click a button on the mobile app? Yeah, maybe some reasons. If you really do want to do it this way, HTTPS everything, good domain, sign your downloadables, make sure Windows Smart Screen isn't going to chuck a wobbly every time you try and run untrusted software on the machine. That seems like a much smarter way to do this. So anyway, that's Instamic. I'm going to now press the button on here. It's actually got like little magnetic clips to hold it on, which seems like a good idea. So I don't know if pressing it once was the right idea. Maybe I press it until a light goes out. I think that was it. Yeah. I hope that actually recorded. It does seem pretty resilient that way. But yeah, the little magnetic clip, that actually comes with multiple different ways of mounting it. But for those of you who can see the video, like this is a really, really firm clip, which is a good idea. It's better than sort of the little sort of alligator kind of clips. Even just a couple of days ago, I was doing a talk in Brisbane, which I'm going to mention in a moment, and I'm trying to fit the lapel mic and these freaking alligator clips, like trying to line it up on your shirt so that it doesn't rub on you and it looks kind of presentable, is hard work. So Instamic, I'll let people know how that goes more over time. Looks good. The firmware thing is a fixable problem. Okay, so that's that. Where else? What are we doing this week? Yes, talks. So I was in Brisbane on Thursday night, which is about a 1 hour drive from my place here on the Gold Coast. And I was there doing this NDC meetup. So I've mentioned in the last couple of updates that we've got a bunch of NDC stuff coming up in Australia, and I'm going to talk about NDC stuff in other places soon as well. So we did a meetup there. I've got Charlotte from NDC, who does all the PR stuff, visiting me here in Australia. Been enormous fun watching spiders with her as well. I just want to make a point of that. So anyway, we went up to Brisbane, did this user group talk. Really good turnout. We actually capped it. In fact, I think the numbers were, there was like 100 people capacity at Microsoft. We capped it at 160, expecting a rate of attrition, and then kind of overflowed the room a little bit, or certainly packed it out, didn't have enough seats, which is good, because as a speaker, regardless of how big or small the room is, the thing that always makes the biggest difference is the density of people. As soon as there's like sparsity in spare seats, there's just like something that just sucks the energy out. So that was really good. We're doing Melbourne Tuesday after next. Now I'm recording this on Saturday, so it was 1, 2, 3. That must be about the 12th. I'll put a link in my notes here. So we're going to do the same thing in Melbourne. We have a much greater capacity for Melbourne. I think we've got a capacity. In fact, I think we're allowing about 500 registrations, and I'm pretty sure we're about 80% full on that already. So if you want to come to Melbourne, yeah, let me know. Well, go and register. I'll give you the link. So Melbourne will be good. We're going to basically do the same thing we did in Brisbane, which is I'm going to talk for about an hour about Have I Been Pwned and Azure and cloud, and of course some of the things about what's in these data breaches. And then people get to ask questions for an hour. We eat some pizza, we drink some beer. Good fun. So I'll be doing that, and then immediately after that, I've got to head off to the US. I'm doing the opening keynote at Snowfrock, which is the OWASP conference in Denver, in Colorado. So that'll be good. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to jump on a plane. I'm going to go to New York. I'm doing a Pluralsight thing there, and some other cyber things I'm not sure if I'm meant to talk about. So I'll do those, and then I'll be going back to Seattle straight after that for Microsoft Regional Developer / MVP Summit. Back to Australia, and then a few other things immediately after that. One of the things that we did announce just over the last few days since my last weekly update is I'm also going to be doing an NDC Security New York. And I did put this up on the screen just so I got my dates right, but I'll link through to this. So we're going to do, in fact, we're going to do NDC Minnesota in May. I think it's around the second week of May. And then after that, we're going to do NDC Security in New York. So I'll be there, Brock Ellen will be there, we will both be doing workshops, and we will both be doing conference talks and things like that. So I've never been to New York before, and I'm actually pretty excited. I've got 2 trips now coming up there. And then while we're on the whole NDC thing, that's May. In June, I'll be back in Oslo again as well. So yeah, there's a bit of that on the agenda. And I've spoken about why I do these events so often in terms of the fact that, you know, that they look after you and they sort of make speakers feel very, very welcome and comfortable. So loads of those coming up. Now, there's not really a whole lot more this week. And to be honest, I've had a combination of still recovering from being overloaded with stuff. Obviously doing the conferencey things and enjoying showing a tourist around as well. So, you know, I've been trying to, you know, do the Aussie things and have a little bit of time out. So that said, I have been going through a lot of data breaches here, and where do I even begin here? I published one, and this was sort of the largest one I had sitting on the list until today, when I got a much, much larger one. Dubsmash. So I did not actually know what Dubsmash was, and if I'm honest, I'm still not entirely sure. Something to do with like taking music and mixing it with other things. But apparently 162 million people used it. That was in this collection of breaches that the Register wrote about last month. So Dubsmash, Armor Games, 500px, White Pages, Share This, etc., etc. And those accounts appeared, first of all, on dark web marketplaces for sale. And then, of course, what happens is they start circulating pretty broadly after someone buys them and starts sharing them around with the community. So I loaded Dubsmash the other day. That's now taken Have I Been Pwned to about 6.9 billion records, just a tad under that. I'm going to smash through that probably today with the next data breach, which is being loaded. And we're now just past the 2.6 million registered user mark as well. So this is 2.6 million people who will get notifications every time their things are in a data breach. So I'm pretty happy with the way those numbers are ticking over. I am working on a bunch of things to try and make these data load processes go smoother, because to be honest, loading 160 million records into the system is more laborious than what it should be. And I appreciate everyone who pops up and says, look, can I give you some help doing this? It's sort of an issue of, when do I take the time to fix what is becoming a bit of a legacy code base, because I wrote a lot of this 5 years ago. When do I take the time to do that in order to give me more time? So you see the problem, right? It's like, when do I invest time to gain in the immediate term to try and buy it back in the longer term? And if I do think of ways people can help on that, I will definitely let you know. At the moment, though, it's really just a matter of just waiting for things to process. So those data breaches are there. There are a number, I don't want to say which ones they are, but there are a number of others within this series that was recently released and published publicly that I do have, and I'm still processing, and they will be going through into Have I Been Pwned gradually over time. I've actually got next week really, really open, so there's a bunch of really important stuff I need to finish then, and wrapping up these breaches is one of those things, which means that next week, when we have this conversation, there's probably going to be a whole lot more data in there. So, look, I'm going to wrap it up there. I am going to keep this one pretty short because there's not much new stuff, and I am getting it in a day late because of things like actually trying to have some downtime. So last thing is, the sponsor this week is Varonis. As I mentioned before, Varonis are sponsoring every other week for about the first half of this year. They've got their DFIR team investigating a cyber attack using their data-centric security stack. They do link through to a bunch of other information there and some cool demos. And again, Varonis is one of these companies that I have actually done work with for many, many years now. Everyone there is super cool, and they do actually make a really neat product as well. So I appreciate people that go and have a look at what they do, for them to help support me do what I do. So that's it for now. Obviously, I've got a bunch of other events coming up. For those, it was funny how many people went to the Brisbane event and they're like, have you got the stickers? Like, we came for the stickers. I think I mentioned last week I ordered 10,000 more stickers. So I have 10,000 more Have I Been Pwned stickers coming any day now, which means, yes, I will have the stickers for Melbourne and every other event that's coming up. So get along to those and get the stickers. Thank you very much for watching this week. I will come to you next week.